Kyoto Animation, an anime studio that I've looked up to as far back as I remember. Kyoto Animation has a special place in my heart, and I've grown watching their works, and I'll always have a soft spot for this company. I'd argue Kyoto Animation is one of, if not the best anime studios running today. I'd put it up with the likes of Studio Ghibli, Comics Wave, Shaft, and even Madhouse Studios. Saying Kyoto Animation puts in hard work and dedications to their project would be an understatement at this point. I remember not being familiar with anime-based news websites and having hard times catching up with the latest anime trends, so I bring up the Wikipedia page of Kyoto Animation, scrolling down to the TV series section, and just see what projects were TBA at the works. This was, and still is, one of the handful of studios I get excited for when a new anime under a specific studio is scheduled to release. But sadly, due to last year's unfortunate events on the main studio production building, we will not know when the next Kyoto Animation project will be airing. This might sound weird to some of you, but hearing this news last year broke my heart. It broke my heart to the point where I literally teared up and could not help feel sorry for the people who lost their lives in such a cynical, nonsensical act of violence. To feel a sense of grief to the point of crying from a foreign tragedy wouldn't make sense to some people, especially towards an anime studio and Americans. But this anime studio was more than a company to me. It was a part of my life growing up, showing and teaching me to be the person I am today. Giguk did a great video of basically how everyone, including myself, felt about KyoAni, which deserve a watch if you haven't already. That video made me feel things I thought I would never feel in a YouTube video. But enough of that, I'm here to talk about an anime by Kyoto Animations that's hardly ever talked about, swept under the rug, never seen the light of day, and just basically underappreciated. Have you just ever wanted to kick back and relax, not diving into a series full of long dialogue and complicated plot structures, and just enjoy a wholesome experience that you typically can't get in the Western media today? What if I were to tell you there's a whole Japanese subgenre of the slice of life portraying characters living out peaceful lives in calming environments and is intended to have a healing effect on the audience? And if that doesn't honestly sound familiar to you at all, I wouldn't blame you. This subgenre is not really talked about, and that subgenre is called Iyashikei. Iyashikei can honestly be categorized by any slice of life anime at this point, but I believe there are some characteristics that tend to follow in these types of subgenre. The biggest characteristics I've seen that really splits Iyashikei apart on its own is there's no big emphasis on any kind of drama, romance, and other genres mixed into it. It's just a wholesome experience, primarily devoting each and every segment to characters and its environments typically around our real-world counterpart, like its definition implies. You wouldn't generally see much of the other genres mixed into Iyashikei-based anime, but there are some out there, not a lot. Some Iyashikei anime you people might be familiar with are like Keion, Nonnon Biori, Barakamon, and that fairly new one, Laid Back Camp. But I'll be talking about one today that really struck an interest with me that other Iyashikei anime did not, and I honestly believe it didn't receive the recognition it kind of deserved, and that anime is Tamako Market. Tamako Market was first aired in Japan in January 10, 2013, a fairly long time ago, where anime was still starting to build a mainstream audience in the West. When I was balls deep into the weeaboo subculture at the time, watching anime had a very big stigma of being a fucking nerd. I wasn't a nerd by no means, far from it actually. I was the only person in my group that regularly watched anime, while my other friends smoked weed and drank every weekend. All my friends were into cars, I was low-key into cute anime girls, and my friends were busy talking to girls getting laid, and I'm here jerking my train off to fucking Bible Black. At the time, the only widely accepted anime that didn't affiliated the label of fucking nerd were Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, and Full Metal Alchemist. But also at the same time, anime such as Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan were fairly new but slowly started to garner a mainstream fan following in the West. I believe it took longer than it should have, maybe due to the amount of legal licensing Western companies had to go through to offer these animes in their services. Again, at the time, the only way to go through and read and hear about new animes would be through the internet. then probably download/torrent them off shady websites that were subbed from fan-based subgroups, or go through an illegal website that streamed the latest episodes in the most shittiest quality possible. And since anime has become a mainstream medium in the Western world today, you can literally watch anime wherever and whenever you want, probably with a small fee. I believe a lot of people take this for granted. I can honestly go on about this whole thing in a separate video, so I won't. But what I'm trying to say is Tamako Market might not be an anime most recent anime fans are familiar with. Tamako Market is an original IP created by Kyoto Animation and was apparently worked on by the same team that brought K-On! To life. At the time of Tamako Market's creation, Kyoto Animation was already a mainstay in the anime industry, bringing the likes of Hyoka, Shinibyu, and Nichijo, and much more to the table. Even to this day, Kyoto Animation has brought us countless other masterpieces that both anime or non-anime fans can recognize today, but out of their thick, girthy portfolio of anime, Tamako Market isn't something that's mentioned a lot. Tamako Market can be easily compared to other notable works in the industry yet still come out on top, which of course is my opinion. Unlike most slice of life animes that's been airing thus far, I think Tamako Market has a formula that most classics such as Bunny Drop, Mushishi, and Natsume's Book of Friends have that others do not. And that's honestly the sense of relatability, being able to feel like you are part of something special. Tamako Market's world is set in a shopping district most common in Asian countries. Someone who's very familiar with this culture, I can see and value the relationship Tamako, which is our main character, has with every tenant in the shopping district. My family, nor did I ever run a stand at a shopping district, but living very close to one, you get the idea of how things should be or how it is. Seeing each stall pack wall to wall in a small community, you can see the potential relationship one builds working in such a small environment. I wouldn't argue with someone if they told me something like this would never happen in the real world, but that is not the point. But you know, seeing what the anime is projecting into my eyeballs is more than enough of what I would love to see in our real world. It does a phenomenal job in making the viewers feel like they want to or can participate in this awesome community and become welcome like everyone who has been introduced throughout the anime. And of course, this wouldn't be made possible without the brilliant minds of the character design team back at Kyoto Animation Studio. The character approach of Tamako Market was well delivered, feeling every character is important in some way. You wouldn't necessarily fall in love or worship one of these side characters, but you can appreciate and respect them in a moral way, just like a human being. One great example of this hospitable cast of characters is Tamako's family. They bring in friends, customers, and even strangers into their home, welcoming them with the utmost hospitality. That honestly might sound weird, but this is an anime. That's what it's all about. This genre is about that. Shit like that won't fly where I'm from. 99 times out of 100, when a dude is waiting inside my bedroom, he either wants to kill me or take all my fucking money. But in a setting where Tamako Market has built, you have a sense of security, a sense of wanting to have the same thing. A true staple of the Iyashikei genre. Some people may disagree, but what I just described is another form of escapism. In episode 7, Choi, an important character that's later introduced into the series, is a good personification of the audience as a whole. Her background isn't really important, but what she represents in the story is crucial. She comes to a foreign land knowing little to nothing about her destination, then enters Tamako's shopping district. Later, she is fed false information about the world she enters and has a constant feel of mistrust. The episode progresses and Choi slowly learns the information that was fed to her was hugely mistaken. I love this episode so much because it is more or less depicted what a real person, or you as the audience, would feel about something new. A lot of people, including myself, sometimes take in information regardless of credibility and take it as true. This goes for Tamako Market as well. Sure, a lot of people would describe this anime simply about cute girls doing cute things, but that's only the surface level. People like myself who's tired of hearing shit posts on the news and unfulfilling state of events in my personal life, Tamako Market is a grand piece of media that helps me not think about them for a short period of time. I personally wouldn't label this just as an anime about cute girls doing cute things, since you see a lot of care and elements that are put together on each and every episode devoted to every aspect of the world building into the series. Each scene wasn't dragged on more than it should. Each episode didn't stay over its welcome. It kept it simple, short, and straight to the point while still being able to build the likable world it has. More importantly, importantly, the show is able to build the foundation of what makes the show good in only 2 episodes. There wasn't a single time I felt the show lost its pace. It kept going straight forward, not stopping any point in time. And you honestly see this in the animation. Phrases like Kyoani charm isn't an understatement. Being the first original IP by Kyoto Animation, of course you'd see such devotion and investment into the series, but sadly the series was short-lived, only spawning 2 light novels and a movie. Unfortunately, Tamako Market can't be watched through your typical mainstream streaming services like Crunchyroll, Netflix, or Hulu. Instead, you'd have to go out of your way and either subscribe to a premium on both VRV or HID Hive. But luckily for some who has never heard of both, like me before writing this review, they do offer a 30-day free trial. On a side note, VRV also offers the dubbed version of Tamako Love Story, but unfortunately only the dub. It really saddens me you can watch almost all of KyoAni's work in generally any other mainstream streaming services, but not Tomoko Market. Through my lackluster research, I believe Tomoko Market wasn't even on any other well-known streaming platforms. Correct me if I'm wrong though, but it is still truly sad. So in conclusion, I really believe that you should go out of your way and just try to enjoy Tamako Market as it is. Even if you're only into the action-packed Naruto type bullshit that's being offered today on a daily basis and every spring, summer, winter, fall airings, Tamako Market is a fresh start of where you can probably get into something that you like. This is the pinnacle of when pop moe culture was being popular, so it never hurts to try.